Hi everyone, and welcome to the next series in our live video stream. I'm Allie, the dietitian here at Ethos, and we just want to remind you that if you or anyone that you know is in need of some home delivered meals, please call us here at Ethos at 617-477-6606, and you can always call Boston Elder Info for any other resources at 617-292-6211. Last time I was on here, we chatted about different nutrition tips and how to stay healthy and safe while going to the grocery store and how to keep up our nutrition during this time during our virus. But today we're going to go into a little bit more specifics on grocery shopping, and we've provided you guys with a grocery list, and we're also going to talk about a little bit of meal prep and how to portion out some food so that we can make it 2 weeks with all of the groceries that we do purchase. So let's get started. So all of the handouts that I'm going to be referencing today are going to be available for download on our website, or you can call us here at Ethos, and we'll be able to mail you out some handouts as well. So if you already looked at it, you can take a look at our 2-week grocery list. And so you'll see there's a variety of different foods on there and some of the quantities as well. And so you'll notice things like 6 cans of low sodium soup. And as we go on in this presentation, I'll be talking about a few recipes that a couple of them are using some of that soup. But then you'll also notice when we look at our menu that we're having some soup for either lunch or dinner. And we want to opt for the low sodium option when possible, just to control our overall amount of sodium in our diet. But if that's not an option or it's not available at the store, draining out some of the liquid that comes in the canned soups and filling it with fresh water is a great way to lower our sodium intake. And then we have things on our list in our protein food category. So things like canned tuna fish or chicken. Buying a full rotisserie chicken is a great way to be able to portion out meals throughout the week without having to do a lot of other cooking. And then buying things like a bag of frozen fish or ground beef or pork or any other protein sources that you like. Because remember, when we talked last time, protein is one of the key pieces of a balanced meal. We always want to make sure we have our protein source so that we can maintain our muscle mass, especially as we age, where muscle mass tends to decrease. Another great source of protein that is shelf stable are beans. So making sure you have 1 to 2 cans of beans, whether in your pantry or when you do go to the grocery store, making sure you stock up. It's an easy thing to add to a can of soup so that you're getting a little extra protein, or toss in a pasta salad, or just have on its own as a side. Then when we're shopping, making sure we're getting our vegetables. And as I had mentioned before, buying fresh, frozen, or canned, they're all great options. They all have the same amount of nutrients, just some of the additional preservatives that might be in them we want to look out for. So fresh, it's always going to be pretty much preservative free. We can buy it in the store, making sure that you are thoroughly washing it, especially during our crazy times now. Our frozen next best option, well, that has been a little low in the stores. It's a great shelf stable option that you can buy our bigger bag, stick it in the freezer, and be able to portion out, especially if we're only cooking for 1 or 2 at home. And then lastly is our can. That's shelf stable. It's going to last us for many months, whereas our fresh vegetables, they might go bad in a week or 2. So always making sure that we do have a can or 2 of vegetables is a great option. We're also going to show you a few ways that you can use your canned vegetables, just like our fresh produce, in a few casseroles that we're going to talk about. Also making sure that we have things like loaves of bread, trying to buy 1 or even 2 and sticking one of the loaves of bread into the freezer so that it lasts longer. Again, we're trying to prepare that we're going to be at home for 2 weeks before we go to the grocery store again, just so we lower our exposure rate to this virus and make sure that we're keeping ourselves and all of our friends and family happy, healthy, and safe. Another great source of protein could be our eggs, depending on if you like eggs in the morning, or we'll talk about having eggs at dinner as well. Will kind of depend on the amount of eggs that you buy. And then having things that are pretty staple in our pantries: pasta, crackers, peanut butter, dried cereal, and then of course our sweet treat, whether it's a box of cookies or your favorite ice cream, something along the lines of that. We always have to have something sweet in our life. And then also making sure we have a block of cheese and then our fruits. So whether it's having some fresh produce on hand, things like bananas that last a little bit longer, or apples, and then also having some options of our canned fruits. So if you have the option to buy the canned fruits in water, that's going to be your best bet. But again, if the only option in the market is in syrup or light syrup, when you get home, just using a colander and straining out the fruit, rinsing it off with some fresh water, and you're good to go. The canned fruit has just as much nutrients as our fresh produce. So then we're getting into our week 1 menu. And so with the grocery list and both week 1 and week 2 menus, those are just kind of guidelines and outlines for you that if you're not sure what to purchase, don't know how much in terms of quantity, or then how to use these foods, this is just giving you that guideline. Maybe you don't like eggs, so having eggs in the morning for breakfast or purchasing them at the market, that's not going to be something that you're going to want to do. We don't want you to waste money on foods that you're not going to be eating. So this is just a rough outline. But you'll see on week 1's menu, I go through using all of those foods that were on the grocery list and plug them into making sure that we're having breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So as we talked last time, making sure that we're keeping our energy and nutrient intake up, even during these times when we are a little bit more sedentary, maybe we're not getting out as often or doing the same things that we were. It's still really important to make sure that we are nourishing our bodies and giving our bodies all the nutrients that it needs. It doesn't just shut off because we aren't getting out for walks or doing our normal daily tasks. So for breakfast, something along the lines of having 1 or 2 eggs plus a piece of toast with a little bit of peanut butter and either canned or fresh fruit. That's one breakfast option. There's also having 2 slices of toast with peanut butter and a banana, or having some cereal. Also, we're going to be talking about a breakfast casserole that you can make and have for multiple breakfasts in a row or every other day, that again, you don't have to wake up in the morning, you're still feeling a little groggy, maybe you haven't had your cup of coffee, and try to think and put together some balanced meal. And then looking at lunch, there are so many different options really for any of these meals, but for lunch as well. So having something like a can of soup or a half a can of soup, and then pairing it with something else like a half a chicken salad sandwich or a half a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Crackers and cheese make a great lunch. Crackers and peanut butter, leftovers from the night before. Any of these options can serve as a lunch meal. Same with dinner. We have a wide variety of meal options, and I've listed some on our menu. If we are purchasing a rotisserie chicken, that's great for 4 or 5 meals. So if one night you have some of the chicken paired with some vegetables and a potato, the next day for lunch you could have leftovers. Or with some of that chicken from the rotisserie chicken, you can make chicken salad. We have provided a recipe for you for a chicken salad, and we've kind of given you just a basic chicken salad recipe, and then there's a lot of tasty add-ins like grapes or dried cranberries, walnuts, various seasonings that'll always, change the taste so that it doesn't feel like you're eating the same chicken salad every day. That's really the biggest thing when we're talking about meal prep, is just making it basic and then adding a few different twists, whether it's a twist of sauce or seasoning, or skipping a day in between so that you don't feel like you're always eating chicken or chicken salad or soup or anything like that. It's all about variety and spice of life. And so then, looking through our menus, you will notice on some days I have having eggs for breakfast. And then I also have eggs for dinner. It doesn't really matter when we're eating these foods. Our bodies can eat eggs in the morning, at lunch, and at dinner. doesn't matter when we're having these foods. And sometimes we just don't feel like making a meal. So having, quick scrambled eggs with toast and peanut butter and a half a banana is a great dinner. We just want to make sure that we're getting those specific nutrients that we had talked about last time, making sure we're having a balanced plate, which means we have a portion of protein, we have a portion of carbohydrates, and then we have our fruits and vegetables. And so then this is the easy chicken salad recipe that I had mentioned to you guys. Again, it's there for you to download so that you can make it at home and also add your own twist. We'd love to hear how you're changing up these recipes and making your own with things that maybe you have in your pantry. So then we move on to week 2. So you see that we have similar breakfasts, because those are really great staples that are pretty easy to make in the morning. Again, if you haven't had your coffee, you don't have to think too hard when you pour a bowl of cereal with some milk and you have some fruit. That's a nicely balanced breakfast. It's going to give you all the nutrients and we don't have to think too hard. And then we go into our lunch and dinner. So we have a few casseroles, again, that you can download if you'd like. That will be great for meal prep throughout the week so that you can make the casserole in one day. In this case, I have you making a casserole for Sunday night's dinner, and then we're able to have it throughout the rest of the week. We have it for lunch on Monday, and then we also have it again for dinner later in the week. And so just going through and using a variety of the different casserole recipes, or maybe you dig back into your old recipe book and find some homemade meals that you used to love as a kid or that your parents made for you, and digging those up and having those for a week. It's really all about being simplistic and not having to spend too much time in the kitchen. And so looking through our week 2 menu, we have tuna fish sandwich. So again, we purchased a few cans of tuna when we were at the market last week so that you can have tuna fish this week, having some leftovers again. Using the frozen fish, pairing it with rice and a vegetable. And now with our rice, ideally we'd like to have half of our grains whole grains. So this might be a great case for you to have some white rice, whereas in a casserole that we're going to talk about, you have some brown rice. This way you're getting some of your favorites with our white rice, but we're also getting our whole grains. And then, having the leftovers from our fish and rice and vegetable the next day for lunch. Then we're looking at, again, our chicken salad. We want to be making larger portions of these items. While maybe you're only cooking for 1 or 2 people at home, having those extra leftovers, again, make great meals for the previous days. Also, when food tends to sit, especially if it has a lot of spices or marinade, the taste flavors they're enhanced. They get better. It actually tastes better when it's a leftover. And so why don't I show you one of the casseroles that we had made. We just made it for you guys so that you could see what it looks like. It's the tuna casserole. It's the tuna casserole that you could have served for lunch or dinner. Here is a look at the tuna casserole. Again, this is available for download. And then you'll notice here over on my right, these are all of the ingredients that were used. So it's very easy, very simple. If you look at the instructions, you pretty much just need one pan like a casserole dish, and you put everything in there. And so for this recipe, we used canned sliced mushrooms, a can of tuna, and then cream of mushroom soup. We also used some Vermont cheddar cheese, some frozen peas, and again, this is a great place to put our whole grain brown rice, especially if we don't love brown rice on its own. When you mix it with the cream of mushroom soup and all of the other deliciousness that goes on in this casserole, you're not even going to notice that it's actually brown rice. So it's a great way to kind of trick yourself into having something that has a little bit more fiber besides the white rice, and saving the white rice when we have it alone on our plate. The other recipe that we have for you guys is the breakfast casserole. So this casserole, well, along with both of them, can be prepared the night before, the day before, and then you can either bake or put them in the fridge and then have them ready to go. So this casserole, you could bake the night before and then have it in the fridge so that all you have to do is cut into it and have breakfast. Both casseroles are great options for lunch and or dinner, as well as having them for breakfast. Each casserole, you'll notice, has more than 1 or 2 servings. And again, this is just so that you can have more meals throughout the week and not have to think about it as much, because we don't always want to be in the kitchen for hours making this elaborate meal. Healthy meals can be just as satisfying without having lots of ingredients or taking a lot of time. And then these were also the ingredients that were made for the egg casserole. So you'll notice we have some eggs, mushrooms, tomatoes, onion, spinach, and cheese. And this is also a great way to kind of make sure that we're getting in our vegetables. And so then you have the recipe for the breakfast casserole. Very easy, going through, chopping up all your vegetables, whipping up the eggs in a bowl, you put the vegetables in a pan, pour the egg over, and you're good to go. You just bake it and it's all set. And then a few other casserole ideas that we have provided for you guys, again, for download, or if you call us here at Ethos, we can mail you a copy, is a chicken broccoli casserole. This one can be served over pasta or rice. And then the tuna casserole, which you have right here, using these 6 simple ingredients. And then we have an easy pasta salad, which can make a great side and or meal itself. So you'll notice with the ingredients in the pasta salad, we have pasta, we have an Italian dressing, various vegetables, and then we have a can of chickpeas. So if we're having the pasta salad as a side, this is a great option. But if we want to bulk it up and have it more as a meal, adding something like leftover chicken or ham or more beans, something like that, to add more protein so that we feel more satisfied at the end of the meal and we don't find that we're still hungry. Because there's nothing worse than after having eaten a meal that you're still hungry. So that is the end of our presentation for today. I hope you guys are able to use this grocery list and these recipes so that you're able to prepare healthy and delicious meals during COVID-19, and also protecting yourself by only going to the grocery store every 2 weeks, ideally every 2 weeks. And again, we just want to remind you that here at Ethos, we have our home delivered meal program. So if you and your friend or family are in need of meals, please call us at 617-477-6606. And you can also call Boston Elder Info for any other resources that you need at 617-292-6211. Thank you so much and stay healthy.